The one thing to understand is everything is web pages. It's not websites. And then once you get into those web pages, each page needs to tell a different story, or better yet, each page needs to answer a problem. It needs a solution for a problem. That's what you want, your call to action on every single page that you have, that you're answering a problem, and that's how you can scale out your business. And I think people make it complicated, more complicated than what it really is. And it's
Hello. Welcome to another knowledge bomb episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential and together change the world.
And if this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes. And if you're on iTunes, go ahead and rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps get the word out to great leaders and entrepreneurs like yourself.
Please help me welcome Ferdinand with AI and SEO strategies.
This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
messing around with my dad's computer forever, and I was getting in trouble. You know, he was a typical black dad. So if I did something, you know, I was in some serious trouble. No matter how bad the beatings got, I just kept going back to that computer. I'd find it in their room, and then I'd start working on it. Fast forward to 96-ish. I moved out to Tennessee to get away from some things from when I was living with my parents, and then live with my other family out there, which was my mom's family. And then my mom's calling me on the phone, and she's like, "Hey, there's this guy here that's trying to sell me a website." And I'm like, "Put him on the phone." Because she's an older woman. She doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
I'm talking to this guy. Turns out to be Craig Silverstein, which was one of the main minds behind putting Google together. So I'm talking to him, and he was like, "How do you know so much about websites? How do you know all about this?" I'm like, what are you trying to do with my mom? And why are you offering her a website? Like, everybody uses a Yellow. Why are you trying to? So he offered me a job. And so I moved back and then started working with them at Backrub. And it wasn't anything like glamorous by any means. It was it's like a big room with tables and wires and phones and phone books and computers. We just started doing that. We were just a bunch of kids having fun. It wasn't like we knew it was something big. I mean, I remember looking at the screen multiple times when I'd come home, because I'd still work on it when I get home and have my little laptop. So all the AOL CDs were being passed out to everybody. So I remember looking at the screen. I'm like, this is going to be really big. And then it turned out to be big. And then we saw the cars change in the parking lots. It went from like all these like Hondas, like, you know, like really like just cars that didn't really matter, to like Mercedes and BMWs. And so we knew something was going on. And then we got word that they had got some investors. So all of us, there's like 6 of us, we're like, let's ask for healthcare. Let's ask for 60. This is, back in 97, 98.
Wow.
Let's ask for 65,000 a year, healthcare and stock. And then, so we all kind of had this meeting, went in there, we got our heart up, ready to go in. And then we told them who we thought we should have told. And then next thing you know, it was Tuesday morning. That was on Thursday. And we had a long weekend. That Tuesday we went back and the doors were locked. There was no furniture. There was nothing. Everything was shut. So we saw them become Google after that. They moved up to Menlo Park, and we kind of all went our own way with the knowledge that we had. So that's what I did, is started taking what I knew for search algorithms and how to rank everything, because it's so easy for me to rank things on the first page. It was not difficult. So I just took that and started kind of divvying it out to the highest paying clients.
This is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
What are some things should we be considering with the website? I mean, everybody have the websites, and there's a lot of competition out there. I mean, what are some of the things that we should be doing or working on to get on that front page of the algorithms with Google? Let's talk about that.
All right, let's get into that. So I think this is where a lot of people get it mixed up. I think there's so much hoopla out there and all this smoke and mirrors with all these guys saying they know how to do SEO and they know how to do online marketing. When it comes down to it, just so you guys know, all your listeners know, for everybody out there, and this the way it is. You can look at it in the patent. It's just a mathematical equation. So within that mathematical equation, and we all know that math is 2 plus 2 is 4, 1 plus 1 is 2. There's no ambiguity in it. It's set in stone. It is what it is. Same way with ranking a website. Now, this is where people have to understand. A website is a bunch of web pages. Web pages are what rank. So when you're thinking about ranking your website, it's not you're ranking your website, you're ranking one page within your website. So now you need to choose which web page or which web pages you need to then start ranking for your keywords. This is where siloing then comes in with we call it silos in the SEO world, where you then plan out your structure, your hierarchy, asphalt. I do a lot of things for like affiliates. That's how I've learned to just do whatever I want and rank anything. So if I want an affiliate, like a high paying affiliate offer, I just go and rank it. And so I did this asphalt site. So within asphalts, there is asphalt and there's concrete, there's driveways. So you think about getting that repaired. So if you're looking at asphalt, there's asphalt repair, but then there's asphalt repair for commercial. There's asphalt repair for residential. There's also asphalt repair for your major government industries. So when you're building that out, you then have to think of how are we structuring this out for people to find this? If it's just one web page that you're trying to offer those keywords and the variations of those keywords all on that one page, it's too saturated. So that's what you have to break that up into landing pages. So let's just say you have a marketing business. Okay. Let's just do that. All right. So you got a marketing business. What city are you in? So you look at what city locally, as I would think as a business person. Okay. So who can I go as high touch to start building my clientele? That's what I'm going to do within my local area. So that's a 5 to 10 mile radius of who I want for high touch to build everything. So then I would start ranking within, let's say, if it's, Seattle, Washington, I would start ranking for those specific terms, digital marketing agency in Seattle, Washington. However, now there are different variations of that as well, because some people will go and say what they do, but within marketing, what we've seen is you really don't have to worry about selling. Selling is a byproduct of what you are pushing out there on the page. You get what I mean? So it's like you're answering a problem. So what do you do as a marketing company that's better than your competitor? Are you willing to come in and walk them through certain steps and show them what they need to do, let's say for an automation process, so that they can save some time within their let's say with their employees? Maybe it's the email marketing and they need to do some email marketing scripts and some sequences that they need to have set up that they don't want to have to spend the time on. So now you can do this in automated form. That's a problem that you're solving. So now instead of saying we are a digital marketing agency in Seattle, it's now, do you have problems with your email marketing, or do you have problems with your email marketing solutions? This is how we solve those. We have a content team that helps you build out your content plan. So you're helping them understand what you're doing to answer their question. That's where things start to turn into conversions. But when you're constantly trying to sell, then that's when things so that's kind of just some things to think about. And then also think about when your web page that's ranking, that's a very important signal to Google. Google has 200 rules, and there's a bunch of spiders that work for Google. It's like like when you're in high school, like, you have those gossip hounds and they're always talking to you and they're talking to them and they're talking to them. So that's the spiders with Google. Google's like the principal. They're trying to figure out what's going on. So or you can think of them as snitches. They basically go out there and they're snitching on you. So they come to your website and they have 200 rules to follow. That's what Google has. It's within their algorithm. What are those rules? What's your heading and what's the title on that page? What's the meta description? What are your images and what's the EXIF data in those images? What's your keyword density? there's all these rules that you have to follow. So the more again, remember, it's a math equation. So the more of those rules that you're answering the right way, that equation now gets checked off. 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4. So now everything equals out. So now you've given the spiders what they want. They like it. They're going to run to you, and it's like in high school. Hey, what's happening, Cedric? What you doing, man? Oh, you got those new Jordans on, bro? Oh man, okay, cool. Let me check them out real quick. All right, let me touch them. Okay, so those are real. And then they go back. Hey, Daddy Google, he says he's got some real Jordans on. Are they real? Well, he said he was. I kind of touched them. Yeah. Go back out there again. So now the spider goes back out and they run your site again because they need to be. It needs to be verified. Now your boy comes back up to you. He's like, "Yo, let me check your Jordans. I'm gonna take them off." What do you mean take them off? Take them off. I need to make sure that they're real. So now he will go back and report to Daddy Google. Yep, verified 100%. I checked everything. I looked at the laces. They did the squeeze test. They smelled right. Everything was, so it checked out. Now Google says, all right, cool. We've got the information. We're going to store you, which means index, which is keyword. We're going to index you within our server. That means now when you get indexed in their server, that means when that keyword is typed in, email marketing, solutions, Seattle, Washington, whatever it may be. Now that has been stored within Google's algorithm. So when someone types that in, now you pop up because it's been verified. What makes that verification even better, which is cause for the competition why there's 10 sites that you'll see with, normally it's 10 that they give you a choice from, other than the ads, is the backlinking. So now it's, hey, I see you got the Jordans on. Who you hanging with over there? Oh, well, I'm hanging with the whole football team. For real? Like all of them? Like you got all the football, like they all know you? Yeah, man, come over here. Come to my party real quick. The dude's looking at you, sees you at the party with all your boys. He goes back to Google. Look at this. He's got all these dudes that love him. These are your backlinks. These are all the links to your page. These are everything that's coming in saying, we want to link to this web page because, and not website, web page, because it has all of this information that we think is important. So the more that you get those, if you get those backlinks from, like, say, Yahoo, it goes by domain authority and trust factor and page authority. That's the digital ranking factors with the mathematical equation, however high that ranking is. So Joe's blog, that he's doing from his garage isn't as high of a domain authority as Yahoo or Benzinga or Google. It's just not going to be ranking as high. If Google and Benzinga link to you, then your authority goes up. So when he reports back and he's like, hey, he's got, not only does he have the high school football team, but he's got the NFL boys, like they're like buddied up with him. So now Google's like, put him to the top because he's got all that authority. You verified it. Everything's good. Throw him to the top. So that's kind of how it works on the back end of things. And then you can do different things of telling. Google in its patent loves itself. Like it doesn't penalize itself. It's very weird. It won't penalize YouTube. It'll penalize Vimeo. It'll penalize any of these other, video promotion channels, but it will not penalize itself. So if you use Google properties linking back to you, you can then add authority to your pages. So think of like Google PDFs that you make public that have keywords linked in them. And then within those Google PDFs, you can link out to wiki pages that then link. So you can get really crazy with it to have all the backlinking that comes in, and then build your authority on those pages.
You talked about these rules. How do individuals like myself find out what these rules are?
Oh, literally just go in 200 rules of Google, just type that in and it'll pop up and you'll see all the rules that you need to follow. It gets a little, don't overwhelm yourself when you see this, because it's a person that doesn't know coding or doesn't understand it. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. How am I going to do all this? Don't get paralyzed by when you see the information. It's simply there's a set of rules. The majority of people only follow a few. I'm just really good at it. So I follow them all. So everything I touch kind of just shoots up to the sky, but that's all I know. You know what I mean? I don't know any better. I don't know how to do any different. So don't be overwhelmed when you see it. It's just the rules and the guidelines that are within that patent of what algorithms want to see. It makes it easier for them to understand what's going on the page. It's nothing that it's like, I think people think, oh, Google's against me. It's a computer. It's an algorithm. It doesn't care about you.
It does what it does. You just follow the rules.
It's information. Yeah.
I just have to know the rules. Let me ask you this question. So what do you do?
It's funny. I get called quite a bit for I sit on a number of different boards just on a tech aspect, because a lot of people will go in and like, you got to think too, if you mess your SEO up on a large scale, let's say for the military,
okay,
because that's one of my biggest clients, that's very detrimental on a large scale. It can really do damage to a company on a large scale. So
absolutely,
I try to help the small guys too. My costs are just pretty high. So I try to do what I can. So like when I'm sharing this information, I try to give you as much as I can so you can feed from it and all that. People can always contact me if they want to, but I try to do what I can. The one thing to understand is everything is web pages. It's not websites. And then once you get into those web pages, each page needs to tell a different story, or better yet, each page needs to answer a problem. It needs to be a solution for a problem. That's what you want, your call to action on every single page that you have, that you're answering a problem. And that's how you can scale out your business.
If I'm just walking down the street and I'm like marketing from Houston, I mean, I'm not telling anybody anything. I mean, so I'm listening to you. I'm like, wow, this common sense.
Oh, and I think people make it more complicated than what it really is, and it's really not. It's your web page is simply a conversation. That's all it is. It's all. You're having a conversation with somebody, and do you want to go and be the car salesman to everybody you meet? It's going to be a turnoff. That's why people don't click on your pages. That's what happens, because they're looking at it like, I've seen this is, everybody says the same thing. But if you're answering a problem, saying like waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, not understanding where your next customers are going to come from, don't have a plan. This is how we answer that plan. This is what we do step by step. And this is what we've seen in the results that we have. That's why you should call us. It's a totally different aspect, because now you're saying to them, we know what you're going through. We have the solution for what you have. But I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just telling you, we got a solution. This is what we do. So it's a different. One of my business mentors, he was very wise with me and taking me and molding me. And he really kind of made me change all of my verbiage, all the way that I was looking at things. And that's really what propelled me into a whole new world of opportunity and what I never thought was in existence before.
Let's talk about that. What are some of the key lessons that, contribute to your success in both technology and business?
In technology, it's always keep up to date on what is going on and what's new. So like it's AI kick right now. Everybody should be on it. Everybody should be on this. It's not going away. It's only going to be a part of your life. Absorb what's happening and learn, because as we get older, we kind of tend to shy away from that, but it's so important that we stay up to date. Business sense wise, I'm always learning as we grow. You're always learning, you grow, and as you hit certain levels with certain wealth, you're learning more, whether it be about taxes or structures or whatever it may be. I think the key thing about business is if you're an entrepreneur, always look for the people that are doing better than you and learn from them, because it's not going to do you any good to be sitting around with a bunch of people talking about goals and everybody's sitting around doing the same. That's what I begged. He was a multi-billionaire, my business mentor, and I begged him at a meeting. It was a dinner in front of everybody. I said, will you please teach me what you know?
That's amazing.
And he didn't even answer me. He didn't even look at me. His assistant did. She answered for him. But you've got to just surround yourself with people that will teach you to get to that next level. If you don't have a Ferrari, find someone that does. And how do you get it? What's the least, how do you do that? Do you do that in your name? Do you do that in a holding company? Do you do that in a business? How do you do? And a lot of people don't know that either. That's all these things it's all possible. And I just know it because I've done it all. It's all possible. You just got to ask questions and be hungry.
I love this because you're talking about this mentorship, right? This mentorship of a seasoned billionaire, right? So let me ask you, because you talked about, how you got him to mentor you, but what are some practical things that you learned from the beginning?
Oh God, there's so many.
Mm.
There's so many.
We got 6 hours. Go for
Yeah, right. Yeah.
it.
Yeah, there's so many, man. He was an ex-Navy SEAL, ex-CIA, ex-private contractor, so he made a lot of money. He owned cell towers and satellites and all this. One thing that I have to say that I go by daily. It sounds simple, but it really helps in business. So if you know that you're dealing with someone who's a cheapskate, now you know you're dealing with someone who's a cheapskate. Just know who you're dealing with. If you know that
Yeah.
you're dealing with someone who's going to be a jerk, know who you're dealing with. If someone's going to be a jerk,
Yeah.
because that's who you're dealing with. You can't change them. Just know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then learn the different personalities so that you can deal with those different personalities, because there's only 8 or 9 different personalities, and all you got to do is learn them. And if you can learn to deal with them and learn what their strengths and their weaknesses are, and again, there's only 8 to 9. If you
Wow.
can memorize a song, you can memorize what personalities are, and then you can increase your business and your wealth to a whole new level, because now you know how to deal with who you're talking to on the other end of the phone, or who's sitting
Mm.
at, and you know exactly what their responses are because you know that trait of who they are.
Mm.
So that's one. Know who you are, who you're dealing with. I asked him what's your rules to like success, and he said to me 3. He goes, I have 3 rules. You hire the right people, you fire the right people, and then you hire the right people to replace the people that you fired.
Knowledge bomb.
That's what I do. Like
Yeah.
right now, I'm in the middle of getting ready to fire somebody, and then I'm in the process of hiring somebody to replace that person that I'm like, it's just a rule. You just
Yeah.
have to do that. So I think people as businesses, look, it may affect you and your bottom line. You're not getting a paycheck. Well, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's your fault. You didn't step
Mm.
up to the plate.
Yeah.
And if you didn't step up to the plate, there's consequences. Realize
Yeah.
that, especially in my world. Like, you don't come to my world and think that you're going to be mediocre. Even my son knows we don't operate at a mediocre level. That's not what we do in this family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's at a higher frequency. So I don't feel bad about it at all. We're
Yeah.
all in control of our future.
Yeah.
If he wanted the job, he would have worked harder.
That's good. Knowledge bomb. This is good. This is good. This question for you, because I mean, you Google, and you was in the beginning of that back in the late 90s. And now you mentioned AI. So what would you tell somebody that haven't really dabbled in the AI yet? Maybe they're scared, they're afraid, they scared Terminator is coming to destroy the world. But I want you to help us. I want you to speak to the entrepreneur, and then I also want you to speak to the everyday individual.
For the everyday entrepreneur, so ChatGPT is a large language model. It's just it's a learning model. It's just
Mm.
what it's doing. It's a learning language. It's just learning what's going on. And there's different ones. So it's not just ChatGPT. There's also Bard, there's Anthropic. There's so many of them that do different things. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing at what you can do with them, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur, and let's say that the beginning part of your journey, maybe someone's asked you to be a partner with them, so you need a contract. Instead of going to an attorney, can now basically go to ChatGPT and say to it, act as a business attorney, and write a contract out for me with these stipulations, saying, that one person's getting 10%, one person's getting 90%, this person, so you can label everything out, and it'll push it out for you quicker, cheaper than anything you can ever done. And
Yeah.
it's going to be right, because it's AI. It's accessing information, and it's giving you back what's correct.
Yeah.
Majority of it. If you want to do it for email sequences that you're trying to do for, let's say, for lead generation,
Mm.
you can ask it to say, hey, I need a 90-day email sequence for lead generation for businesses that need email content writers. And it'll give you every single week, spit out, so that you can use this. And then you can go back in, and then you can then edit that or tell it to change it.
Yeah.
It can go even deeper than that, because then you can do Excel spreadsheets too. So let's say that you want to plan out a blog, or for the next, or let's say a content plan for the next 12 months.
Mm.
So you tell it, I want you to be an expert digital marketing content writer and plan out a content plan for me wrapped around email marketing for the next 12 months. And it will give you a content plan. And then you can go into that and say, okay, in week 1, write the blog for me with these keywords and make sure that, so you can do all of this yourself now, to where now you're not having to hire this out, or you can hire people to do this at a cheaper rate because they're not having to think of this anymore. So time frame has literally gone down. And people are going to say, oh, but it's taking away jobs. Yeah, it's taking away jobs, but we're not in the old ages anymore. People realized that when they went to a stone wheel to a rubber wheel, it was a lot better. So it's like, without AI, things are slow, and we're depending on humans, and we know how that works. With AI and having the computer generation and being able to access that information at the split second, it's amazing. When we were building Google, building prompts into Python, into a language to give us a result. Think about now, you're going to be building prompts for AI that are going to be going into, it could be the video, like, again, don't limit yourself. It could be, if you like video games, go into the video gaming industry and now learn how to do prompts for those engines that are going to be the learning language models for them. If you don't like them, and you like, let's say you like police or firefighters, learn learning models on how you can use AI to now combat anything that may happen with things that are a problem within that industry. So you've just got to, one key that I really learned from my mentor too, going off the bat, but if you know how to solve a problem, you can make so much money. Like that's one thing I learned. They were a bunch of SEALs, because I asked them, I said, what did you guys do? Like when you're in the middle of a battle, like your life's on the line. And he was like, we were talking about what businesses we were going to get into once we got out of this. They weren't even thinking about getting shot. They were thinking about business. So think about, don't limit yourself. I think that's what people do, is they limit themselves. There's so much capability that you have within yourself, and what we have out there right now, that you can make wealth wherever. If you like plumbing, make some AI, language models for plumbing. There's things that spring leaks all the time. There's things plumbers need to be you can do that with anything. Dogs, pets, children, everything can be used AI. So you just got to get creative.
Knowledge bombs with an S. This is so amazing, man. This is really, really, really good. If someone wants to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
You can go to FerdinandMehlinger.com. I have a couple sites. I have my marketing site, but I'm getting ready to change that whole thing. I don't really take clients on anymore, but FerdinandMehlinger.com, you can get in touch with me there. My email, the best one is probably Ferdinand, FERDINAND @blue, which is BLUOO.digital. So that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. And you can always send me questions. I don't mind. I will be there to help. One thing that I'm always asked to do quite a bit is when someone gets an SEO proposal, or like a CTO is telling them what's going on with a company, I'm usually called in to go sit at those board meetings to make sure that things are just done the right way, so that nobody's, business is being thrown under the bus. I did this for the MLS. I'm a keynote speaker for them, for the multiple listing service. And I got called in to them 2015, I believe. It's multiple listing service, so it's an MLS. But when it was being typed in, everybody was coming up with Major League Soccer. So we had to go in and change that whole algorithm to where when people typed in the MLS, that, now houses would come up instead of soccer. So that was kind of a big thing. And that was an interesting meeting. But yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I do. So if anybody needs help with that stuff, just reach out. I'm always willing to help and answer questions that way, so that I look at it as business owners don't know SEO. That's not their job. They're trying to run a business.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for them to be like, oh, this looks really good, let's do it. And then they put all their money into it. And that's, as we know, as business owners, you can't just go spend a bunch of money just willy-nilly and be like, okay, no results. That doesn't work. So that's what I try to help people avoid. going down that road.
On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us all.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you bringing me on here. If you ever want me on again, man, I'd love to be on. This was a great conversation.
We want to thank you for joining us today on the Lead to Greatness podcast. So remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace.